What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Legit Whiskey Reviews, and on today's episode I'll be reviewing Knob Creek 12 year. So on today's episode I'll be reviewing Knob Creek 12 year. It's part of Jim Beam's small batch collection, and I'll be comparing the 12 year also to the regular small batch, the non-age stated, and then to the one of my favorites, the Knob Creek single barrel. So Knob Creek recently, I believe this came out either late last year or early this year, but they recently came out with the age statement against the regular small batch. Used to be age stated, it was 9 years old, and they did away with it. And then now they came back with the 9 year, and they came out with the 12 year, which I'll be reviewing today. And they also recently came out with a 15 year. I haven't seen that one in my area yet, and I haven't seen the new 9 age stated small batch in my area yet either. So this 12 year small batch right here is at least 12 years old. So the youngest barrel in this batch has to be at least 12 years old. So there's no whiskey younger than 12 years old in this barrel in order for it to have this 12-year age statement. So I'm pretty excited to try this one. It recently came out in my area. I haven't really seen it around, so I'm pretty interested. So let's look at the color. So obviously, being 12 years old, it has a really good color on it. It's sticking really good to the glass. This is 100 proof, by the way, as well as the regular small batch, which is 100 proof too. So yeah, like I said, it has like a dark or medium dark copper color on here, and like I said, it's sticking pretty good to the glass, pretty oily. So let's go to the nose on this one. By the way, when I swirl it like this, I like to swirl it, just let the air get in there and open up the whiskey, let the flavors and the aromas, the smells come out more. So let's get into the nose. So yeah, this is a vanilla bomb pretty much. There's so much vanilla in here. There's a lot of caramel, and I get a lot of dark fruits. There's a ton of cherry in here too. Those are the first things that come out of the glass here. And then obviously, being the 12 years old, I do get a little bit of the oak towards the back, but there's also of course, it being Jim Beam, a lot of Jim Beam products have that peanut or the nutty aromas and taste, and I'm definitely getting a kind of nutty smell in here. I wouldn't say it's, I usually get peanut, but for some reason I'm getting more of like almond or pecans out of here instead of the peanut. But it smells really, really good. There's also a little bit of spice towards the back as well. So let's get a taste. Cheers. So yeah, this is a lot of dark fruits towards the front. There's a little bit of apple in there too, but I want to say it's more of a cherry that comes through. And then the vanilla, like I said, the vanilla comes through. It's super sweet, very sweet in the front. And then the caramel, there's a little bit of spice. I'm not sure if that's the nutmeg or it's probably from the rye content in the whiskey. And then I also get the nuttiness comes through for sure. And then towards the back, I get the oak, and it being 12 years old, sometimes that oak can be overbearing, and I'm not getting that in the glass. It's a good balance in here because the oak that comes through is very sweet. It's like a sweet oak. It's not like bitter or tannic or anything like that. So this is really good. Let's try it again. So yeah, more of the same. This is really good. It's pretty solid. So I'm getting that cherry is definitely still coming through. The vanilla, the caramels. Those are the strongest flavors that come up in the front. And now that spice is taking over towards the back, and that oak is definitely taking over in the back too. It's not bitter at all. It's well balanced though, because that spice and that oak make it like a complete drinking experience. It's not super sweet, which can be a turnoff sometimes when it's too sweet and it's sweet all the way to the back of the palate. So yeah, this is really good. Let's compare it now to the regular small batch. The regular small batch here used to be 9 years old, and then they took away the age statement. And like I said, they recently came back with the age statement. I just haven't seen it in my area yet. So this is just a regular small batch. I'm not sure what the age is or the youngest whiskey is in there, but let's try this one here. So this one has more, for some reason to me, it has more of like a light fruit, like maybe like a red apple. And then it has the vanillas and the caramels, but the flavors that come through on the 12 year are way more there than they are on the small batch. The small batch is a little bit more muted. Then again, it could be that this bottle's been open for a while, so the air's been in there, so that could be it too, but it still smells really good. And it's not as spicy, and of course it's not as oaky towards the back on this one. So let's try this one. Cheers. So yeah, this one's a little bit more less, it's not as sweet towards the front, and I feel like it's a little bit, the spice is a little bit stronger on this one. Like it comes through more like a bitter spice towards the back, and it has some oak on it. But I would say that the oak that comes through on the 12 year is definitely sweeter than what comes through on this one. And this one, once you get towards the back of the palate, the spice definitely does take over. So it's still a really good bourbon here, but as of now, I would definitely pick the 12 year over this one. It's just way sweeter, and the balance on the 12 year is way better. And this regular small batch here goes for about $26. This one that they just came out with, the 12 year, it retails for about $55. And now we're gonna compare it to the Knob Creek single barrel, which is one of my favorites. I like to say one of the best kept secrets in bourbon. Well, not really a secret, but it's just for the value and the proof that you get out of this one is amazing. This one is 120 proof, 60% ABV, and it's aged 9 years. So actually, I don't know if I said towards the beginning of the video that I wasn't sure what the age was on this one, but this one is age stated. This is 9 years old, and yeah, so let's get into the nose of this one. By the way, the color on this one is pretty good too, and it really sticks to the glass. There's like no legs on here. It's like just completely sticking to the glass, which is always good. It's pretty oily. So this one has a ton of cherries too. The vanilla and the caramel that come out of this are completely taking over the nose. But yeah, that cherry definitely comes through as it does on the 12-year-old, but for this one is definitely coming through more on the single barrel than it does on the 12-year. And then towards the back you get a little bit of oak. Not as much, I feel, as a 12-year, and not as much as a small batch here, which is interesting. All right, let's go to the palate. Cheers. So yeah, this one definitely coats the palate well. You do get that cherry, and the cherry comes through way more than it does on the 12-year. And of course, obviously, I'm assuming it's from the higher proof. And the caramel, vanilla, this one here has more of a peanut aspect to it than the 12-year. The peanut definitely comes through on the palate. And then towards the back, you get the spice and you get the oak, but it's not as pronounced as it is on the 12-year. I feel like the 12-year, the spice that comes through towards the back is more than the single barrel, and the oak, although it being sweet, is comes through more than in the single barrel. So the single barrel here is about $49 in my area, $45 to $49 in my area, which is a steal. It has the age statement on it, and it's 120 proof. So I mean, it's an amazing value for the age you get out of the bourbon, the proof. It's a great value, and if I had to pick between these three, I'm gonna pick this one every single time. It's just like everything that you get out of this one as compared to these. Don't get me wrong, the 12-year and the small batch, these are great bourbons. You can't go wrong with any of these. But if I had to pick one, of course I'm gonna go with the single barrel. It's just amazing. So as far as the 12-year, I'm really impressed with it. It's hard to find a bourbon with this age statement on it and 100 proof for the price that this one retails for. It's a great value. Usually when you find bourbons that are 12 years and older, even like a 10-year and older, you're gonna be in the $100 range. So even though this one is more expensive, it's a great value. As far as the grade on this one, I'm gonna give it a 90, and I'm only giving it a 90 and not more because the single barrel is still available and it's still accessible in my area. It was definitely interesting comparing the small batch, the 12-year, and the single barrel. I've always wanted to do this one after the other just to see like the different flavors and what comes through in each glass, and it was really interesting. So if you like my content, don't forget to hit that like button. Remember to subscribe. Don't forget about that little notification bell, and if you want, leave a comment if you have any suggestions, and keep it legit and do it for the love of whiskey. Cheers.